All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, always excited to be talking to this individual because usually it means there's big fights coming up. I'm talking to BKFC figurehead David Feldman, ahead of BKFC London, and a whole host of interesting topics to get into. Thanks for coming on the show again there, Dave.
Awesome, man. Always glad being here.
And just one thing, just because of the timely nature of it, I wanted to get some insights on because I was seeing some reports about, Paige VanZant no longer being on the BKFC London card, and perhaps that would be rescheduled to October. Can you maybe give specifics on that situation, or?
Yeah, not really. I mean, just some circumstances happened, and we decided it was best to take that fight and move it to our debut in Denver. It's going to work out better for us, and with some of the things that went down, which I don't really feel like talking about, to be honest with you, it was a good move for the company.
Yeah, I mean, well, this London card is so stacked, so I think you can afford to move some things around there. And I'm kind of just wondering about that in a sense because, it's a big fight weekend, as I was kind of talking to Bernie, before you got on the call there, and just a lot going on this weekend with, the Usyk-Joshua rematch. There's a big UFC card, but I feel like this, BKFC fight with MVP and Mike Perry is, right there in the conversation and getting a commensurate amount of discussion around it. How do you feel about that? Are you noticing that on your end too?
Yeah, absolutely. People are definitely buzzing about this thing. It's a great event. It's out by a lot of different people inside the industry, and everybody else. Unfortunately, we're going Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk a little bit after us. So that's a good thing. Our main event will be done, and then their main event will start at 11, so at least we can get that out of the way. Obviously, we don't want to go up against a major UFC pay-per-view. We don't want to go up against Alexander Usyk versus Joshua. But, as we've done the entire time and the entire history of BKFC is we fought our asses off to get where we are. So we're just going to have to continue fighting, and, hopefully it turns out pretty well for us. The good thing is we're at a different time than the UFC pay-per-view. We're at a different time than like I said, the main event for that Anthony Joshua fight. So hopefully, given the very reasonable BKFC $4.99 price, that we're going to get a lot of traffic there as well.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those 3 monitors going kind of fight days. But like you said, it'll be paced out well. You can see everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, I would never have made my debut in London to go up against Anthony Joshua. I'd probably have to get my head examined. But we announced this after pushing it once because of some troubles with the venue. And we just figured that if we pushed it again, people would kind of question our validity of this event. So we just went ahead with it. Tickets are selling good. I did expect to have about, 10 to 12,000. Looks like we're going to be more around the 7,500 or 8,000 mark, but still a very good live crowd in London when I'm going up against Anthony Joshua fight.
Yeah, and I think you would be excited just about the whole international expansion. It seems like the Thailand shows have been a priority, and that's definitely picking up steam. Kind of wanted to talk about that a bit later, but just in the context of the global expansion, has this London card been a big feather in the cap? When you first started making these plans, were you especially fired up to kind of get into this newer sort of market there?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be in UK. It is kind of the homeland of original bare knuckle boxing. So, it was good to go back there. We have a great fan base there, but, unfortunately some things didn't work out for us timing wise, but here we are on this event that we're actually flying out late tonight, red eye over to London with the whole team, and we couldn't be any more excited about putting this event on. There's a lot of buzz around. Of course, we're very, very excited going over there. There were a lot of challenges getting this one done, so we do feel as though it would be a feather in our hat for this one, because not just because we're there in the UK and we're putting on this great show, but because of all the things that we had to go through, all the obstacles we had to go through to get here for this one. Once this one's complete, we're going to have time just to, well, actually, we're not going to have much time. We have an event 7 days after that, but we're going to have to just regroup and focus on what we need to do differently when we go over into new territories and, just scope it out a little better. But all in all, I think it's going to be a very, very successful fight for BKFC's debut. like I said, everybody's talking about the fight. They're talking about Mike Perry. They're talking about how do you get MVP. They're talking about all the undercard and everything else that's around it. And I think it's going to be, from top to bottom, one of the best match fights that we've ever had at BKFC.
Yeah, and I love the desire to, like, I mean, not even necessarily cross-promote, but just allowing fighters to, like, compete in different disciplines under different banners. Like, when I texted you, or when Hector Lombard fought for Eagle FC, and you were like, oh yeah, he's still with BKFC, and then having, like, a Bellator talent come to bare knuckle. Like, how important is it for you to kind of facilitate that, like, pseudo cross-promotion, like, guys crossing over for some of these, like, not, you can't even call it a fantasy fight because you almost can't conceptualize, like, MVP fighting Mike Perry. So, like, how important is it for you to kind of be part of that and foster those dynamics?
I think it's great. I think it's great if a lot of people can work together. It doesn't work all the time, you know. So don't take this as something, as a you know, kind of like the base of something that everybody can work off of, because it's not going to work for a lot of fighters. You know, there's certain fighters at certain points of their career, and you know, they're in a good place to do a crossover like this, at same as our fighters are as well. So, you know, it's something that we would definitely love to do in the future, because we don't need to have some of these bigger names for more than one fight, because they bring the eyes to us on the one fight, and then we can grow the rest of our roster and our fighters and, you know, the whole entire sport underneath that. But at the same time, it was great to be able to work with these kind of guys, and because I don't think they're going to work with just anybody, right? So we must be doing something right, that they want to put probably their top 3 star in their company into our organization. So that was a feather in our hat. That was absolutely something that made us feel really good about putting this event on.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, obviously you're excited having MVP as part of the fold there, but with a guy like Platinum Mike Perry, it just seems like he's checking off every box for, like, what you would want for the brand. Just, like, his personality, the fighting style, just, like I said, crossing off, you know, every box there. Like, is he one of the easier kind of guys to promote? Is he just, like, right in line with, like, what you would think of as, like, a BKFC fighter, like an emblematic kind of personality almost?
Absolutely. Look, at the first he was a little standoffish because he didn't know us. And then when we got to know him, I actually spent a day or two with him in London by myself when we did the press conference. And we got to know each other a little bit. And he has been the easiest fighter to promote, to work with. Look, if there was a delay, like this morning, there was a delay for him to get into the hotel room because the hotel messed something up. And he's like, oh, I don't care. But you know what? The one guy tried to charge me 200 pounds to drive me from the airport, and I was about to square up with him. So he's so cool to work with. And you know, look, man, he's a promoter's dream because he wants to keep promoting. And the good thing is you never know what's coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, and this is sort of an interesting fight. Like, does this inform at all maybe his pursuit of, like, a title, kind of like within the title hierarchy at all? I mean, he's ultimately fighting a guy who's debuting, but, like, big name value, and, like we were saying, a lot of buzz around the fight. Like, could this put him in, like, a certain place in the title hierarchy, or maybe not contendership stakes attached to it as much?
No, absolutely. Look, I mean, you're talking about Mike Perry, who's fighting MVP, one of the best strikers in all sports right now. So with that being said, I mean, if he beats Michael Page, and beats him convincingly, he has to be in line for a title shot, or right there. Absolutely. So yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. He's 100% with the decisive victory here. He's probably next in line.
Yeah, for sure. Very interesting kind of fight, and something I've been wanting to ask since I saw the announcement there, because, I mean, Buakaw being part of BKFC nowadays, and he's going to be fighting on that Thailand card there. I guess one thought that I had, because there's been a very vocal individual out there in the social media space, Dave LeDuc, he's like a pretty big Lethwei world champion talent, and has said some fairly inflammatory things about Buakaw over the years. Has there been any discourse with Dave LeDuc? Would there be that desire to have, like, a Buakaw Dave LeDuc fight in BKFC?
I mean, we spoke with him, but because we're building this brand in Thailand, and, you know, we have a lot of respect for all the leadership there in Thailand, it's probably not going to happen, because I believe, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I believe he had some bad things to say about the king of Thailand, and probably just wouldn't work for us. Maybe if we did something somewhere else, it would work for us against Buakaw, or maybe even Sanchai. But right now, that fight's probably not going to happen. But, you know, you can never say never, but I always want to do the right thing and have the hierarchy understand that we truly and totally respect everything that they're doing.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, I guess he just strikes me as a guy that would fit well under the banner. Like we were talking about, like Mike Perry. Like I feel like a guy like Dave LeDuc with his fighting style and just sort of the brash personality. Like, doesn't surprise me you've maybe had some level of dialogue with him at some point.
I mean, when we dropped the Bucal announcement, I had a message in my inbox probably in 10 minutes from him, because we talked in the past and he was having a child, just about him coming over initially, and then this came up and he has a lot of beef with Bucal, so he thought that this would be a great opportunity. And look, I'm not going to say it's definitely not going to happen, but it's not the one we're pushing for right now, only because of that drama. Other than that, it would be the fight to make in my eyes. But as we're doing a lot of things in Thailand and growing in Thailand, I don't want to have any disrespect for leadership there.
Yeah, I do remember that whole situation you were talking about there and everything like that. But yeah, either way, very excited to see Buakaw in the fold. And you also mentioned Saenchai there. I mean, it must be a great place to be in. I mean, I feel like we talk about this each time we have these interviews, but just some of the talent you're able to kind of court or indicate interest in. Like I even saw some headlines with Nate Diaz, Tyson Fury, and everything like that. Are there any other individuals you're kind of eyeballing on the landscape right now? Like any people approaching free agency or any curiosity, hires that you've been kind of eyeballing a bit?
I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. I mean, Tyson Fury is one who just announced his retirement again. He's a big fan of bear fighting. He likes what we're doing. So, I mean, look, if it ever came an opportunity, we'd absolutely make an offer there. But there's a lot of guys that are going to come out of free agency and want to try this because it's different. You get a lot of notoriety doing it, and you're only fighting for 10 minutes. You're not fighting for 30 or 25 or 36 minutes like you are in boxing or mixed martial arts, 25 minutes like you are in boxing or mixed martial arts. Sometimes it's 15 minutes, but you're fighting with one discipline only. So these mixed martial artists that are training and putting a lot of pressure and a lot of wear and tear on their whole body, now they can just focus on their hands and get that right. And it's like I said, it's a great opportunity for crossover for a lot of these athletes.
Yeah, for sure. The opportunities are seemingly boundless there. And I mean, a lot of great stuff on this card coming up here. I mean, could get into, a ton of different bouts with you, but I understand you're a busy guy. I want to be mindful of your schedule there and everything. I always appreciate, you finding time to have me in the schedule and all that. So to that point, is there maybe anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up, Dave?
Now we're just going to do a really big international expansion next year. We have a lot of fights coming up at the end of this year, but next year is just, and I said that last year, and here we are, probably going to have 26 events this year, and that's what I said we were going to do, 24. Next year, we're probably going to do in the 40 to 50 event, if not more events with some of these licensing deals that we're doing it in different countries. So it's going to be a great expansion for us. But I encourage everybody. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern Time is the beginning of this card, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So watch MVP versus Mike Perry. It's going to be an unbelievable throwdown at the Wembley Arena, packed house right in the heart of, or right outside of the heart of London, England. Our debut in the UK with, and everybody knows how the UK combat sports fans are. They are wild, and I can't wait to be there. But I encourage you all to go to the BKFC app and download it. It's only $4.99 a month. And right now, if you download it for this fight, you get 4 simultaneous continual pay-per-views. You get this one, then you get Taylor Sterling versus Christine Fierro on the 27th, then you get Bucal's debut on the 3rd, and then you get Britain Hart fighting for the 115-pound women's title on September 10th. So 4 pay-per-view quality fights right now for $4.99. You can't beat it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'd almost be remiss if I didn't sneak one more in as a Canuck. Like, as part of the international expansion, when are we thinking BKFC is going to come to Canada?
I mean, we're working on that right now. We just had a great call with one of the commissioners. He's going in front of the whole meeting, and we're coming up there in September to go in front of one of the commissions. We won't, as soon as we possibly can. We'd love it. So I think by the end of, probably not by the end, but right by the first quarter of 2023, you're going to see BKFC in Canada, and then I think we're going to really blow it up there.